Listen. So there's a small independent series that has become a worldwide phenomenon. Like, even in the age of streaming, each one has gone theatrical. They've topped the box office, making over $100 million. It literally beat an Oscar Best Picture nominee for People's Choice Drama Movie, and it just so happens to be based off of a One Direction fan fiction.
Not that I don't want to meet Harry Styles, but I feel like maybe if I met him before this, but now it's like the story kind of evolved from that. So I feel like it would be weird for me to be like, hey, Harry, you want to meet me? I wrote 7 books about you.
And considering he blocked her faster than Olivia Wilde gave out NDAs, I guess so. The genius behind it all is Anna Todd, who, like, you could hate the series, you could think it's complete trash, but honestly, I think the woman's kind of a badass. Like, she literally had a fanfic pop off at 500 million views, was able to turn that into a literal printed book series that Paramount bought the movie rights to, only for her to say, psych, I want full creative control, snatched them right back, and now has produced 6 of these with a little cameo in each.
Even after you got this big publishing deal, you still made sure that it was available on Wattpad for free for people.
Yes,
Why was that important?
Never take it down. I know how it is to not be able to buy a book. I have literally bought books, read them as fast as I can, and returned them. There's no price tag on me taking that down.
Legend. The series stars young Voldemort and Hannah Baker's sister in a Wattpad original movie, which is crazy when you consider that there's even Redbox making their own pictures. Chicken Soup for the Soul is churning their own out, but no one's done it like the Watt. They already snuck 3 movies out of Netflix, and when you really look at it, it's the fans who are writing all these stories.
We've done all the scenes that they always say they want. I mean, we literally went through Wattpad data, and you can see the chapters that are reread the most and the lines that are common the most, and made sure that those lines were there.
So while the core of this romance series is how unperfect their relationship is, look, I'm not saying that they're great, I'm not saying that they're masterpieces, but damn, these movies are so over the top, so unhinged and so cringy that I had a blast yelling at the screen. Let me explain.
Love is just a transaction.
So the first follows an innocent young Tessa in her freshman year of college, and she's pretty much just had that homeschool upbringing with a mom who's legally bonded herself to every little aspect of her life. So it's kind of jarring for Tessa to move in with a new roommate who's like getting a new tat every week, a campus that's drinking around the clock, and then a wild Hardin that appears in the most random times.
But it was all a dream.
Actually, it was all a lie.
Pretty much it's love at first glare for these two as they keep running into each other. They're more obsessed with books than Belle, to the point that they're turning each other on more than they are the pages. She ends up meeting all of his friends, like Zed and Jace, during a college party where they're playing a game of Truth or Dare as she gets challenged to star in 6 of these movies. In between, she also befriends this dude named Landon, who's her classmate, and this guy ends up being Hardin's stepbrother, yet they're never arguing about their parents. He's just continuously beaten and yelled at in her name. There's also Noah, who's her hometown boyfriend, who I swore was her brother, and clearly I wasn't the only one.
Your brother's cute. Oh, you mean Noah? No, he's my boyfriend.
Obviously, these two don't last, considering he's sending her more texts than a scammer. And on top of that, my dude was down so bad that there is a moment at a campus campfire where he had his girlfriend's boyfriend fighting his own fights. Side note, a moment of silence for all the big spoons out there, because just look at how schlumped she is while they're watching this movie. Like, my man has to arch himself up for a whole 90-minute laptop movie while she's out here daydreaming about another man, who she then dips to go see at 3 a.m. Poor dude was abused worse than he was in You Season 3.
No, I can explain.
Meanwhile, Tessa's mom ends up walking in on her and is ashamed of her daughter's cruel intentions. But after falling for Hardin, the joke really ends up being on Tessa, who doesn't realize that it was all part of a Truth or Dare stunt.
Make her fall in love with me, and then I'll just turn it off.
Am I a bet? Am I a fucking bet?
As eventually becomes a staple in the series, the two yell at each other, they go their separate ways, and then they come back together, just a rinse, wash, and repeat, as they end up meeting at the lake where they reminisce on that one time that they were soaking more than a Utah dorm room. Clearly, this series is another entry in the ever-growing fantasy genre, yet, unlike a lot of the other ones, this first one is PG-13, so it's kind of like a gateway flick. It's almost impressive how much they're able to get away with the editing because, they'll show clever scenes where this man casually goes down and, magically boops back up to convey that, it was nothing but a tap. So no better way to start a franchise than to actually dupe parents into taking their daughters to what they didn't realize was softcore porn. So, having said that, now if you're watching these movies, chances are after, Honestly, even before you're done with them, you're going to be the one who's wet-padding, so you have to make sure your hygiene and grooming are cleaner than Louis' smile. So a big shout out to Manscaped for sponsoring this video and hooking us up with their Performance Package 4.0 that keeps you in style and less hairy. Like Zane, this package is loaded, including their Lawnmower 4.0 body trimmer. It's more waterproof than a One Direction stage, comes with cordless charging, a travel lock feature, and an advanced skin-safe tech so your skin can be smoother than Liam's cheeks. It also includes their wireless weed whacker that helps you trim your nose and ears, because we all know it's all about the little things. And then on top of that, they still include their crop preserver and reviver to keep you cool and odorless all day, unused paper, boxers, and then on top of that, a free travel bag to package it all up. So get covered from head to toe by heading over to manscaped.com today and get 20% off, free international shipping, the 2 free gifts, all when you use the code EXPLAIN20 at checkout. Now, the first one ended with them actually getting together, and the sequel even begins with Hardin giving you the LME for the first, only for it to end up being a dupe. Turns out that they're not together anymore, and Tessa has moved on, even applying to Vance Publishing, which is run by Vance, who publishes, alongside his secretary girlfriend, who's the one who's guiding her as an intern. Yet, while she's there looking to pursue the career of her dreams, she ends up running into a man of business.
Hi.
Got us some lattes.
See, unlike the rocky relationship that is Hardin, Trevor offers her the sweet life. He too is a book aficionado, working at the same company, going for the same career. He's literally her walking QuickBooks, who sets her up financially in every way, shape, or form, down to the medical bills. So that's why Hardin decides to, get her his own gift, which is a preloaded Amazon Kindle, which is only funny because the movie actually had exclusive licensing deals with Prime.
Pain. Lately, I've become very well acquainted with it.
Not to mention, there's also the LaCroix and Tessa knowing Victoria's secret. But in probably the weirdest scene, we see Noah, her ex, come back into the picture just for a little bit to take a big whiff of her. Like, what's even weirder is that he's still got the mom on speed dial because she's still trying to get them together. Like, look at this mood board back there. Like, no, ma'am, your daughter's more far gone than Drake.
You have 2 options here. Either you fuck me, or you leave.
In his angst, Hardin gets another tattoo that I'm assuming is homaging Beastly, as Tessa catches him with another woman in his home.
Tessa? Hardin's mother.
They pretend to be back together while his mom's staying over, but as she learns more about Hardin's troubled past, she starts to fall for him again. It turns out that his father had actually gone into bad business, and a bunch of goons came and tormented his mother, which he was witnessing as a child, causing all of this anger that won't leave him. And mind you, all of this is happening, this entire intense conversation, right in front of Hardin. The mom's really talking about how I wish he let it go, as he wakes up to his mom crying about that same past trauma. So it's no wonder that this dude continues to lash out, as it boils up into, honestly, some of the best right hooks I've seen in a rom-com. And look at Tessa be influenced, as they then go make out right after a full-out assault. Look, I'm not condoning anything that happens in these movies. Like, I feel that the same goes for any movie that's fiction. It's fiction. It's not real. It's clear that the movie in and of itself isn't trying to promote any of these things by the quotes that they give you.
You're toxic and you're bad news. This thing between you and Hardin, it's not gonna end well.
And that's kind of the basis for the story anyways.
It's just not the way I tell stories. It's not the way I grew up. It's not the kind of people I know. So of course I agree when people say that Hardin is not, or why would Tessa date him? I'm like, I don't know. I've been trying to figure it out for 7 books for both of them, why they can't stay away from each other. But I think that it's limiting, and really, I'm never going to write the kind of books that everybody wants me to write. And if somebody was asking, George R. R. Martin, why do they keep killing people in Game of Thrones? No one cares. But if people in a romance novel, make mistakes or they don't treat people the way they should, can any of us say that we've treated every person in our life the exact way that we should? No.
So knowing that, Hardin smashes, Trevor flashes, and Tessa crashes, leading to these two taking a 5-minute break from each other as the movie climaxes at Vance's party, where he's decided that, his kid can't hate his stepmom if he's the one who pops the question for him. And wouldn't you know, as the room fills with love, a wild Hardin appears again. So after fighting, smooshing, and splooshing in the sequel, as always, they end up together in the end as they Uber away into the sunset. Now, as opposed to the first, which was them meeting and then fighting, or the second, which was them pretending they weren't fighting, this one's just them fighting. This one also had a different release strategy where you couldn't just buy a regular ticket. Like, there was no A-list subscription for this. You actually had to go get it as a Fathom event, meaning that it cost more. Honestly, I'm just waiting for AMC to go all out and just slap that artisan sticker on it like they do for a bunch of the other movies. Because honestly, you know what? They were in their artsy bag in the last one. Like, look at this mess of scene. Listen to Sufjan Stevens on that soundtrack trying to redeem his Oscar loss.
Frightened by my feelings.
Now, this one begins with a flashback of Tessa's dad being kicked out for being un borracho, and almost a decade and 2 successful box office hits later, he returns to eat up all their crackle flakes. And I love how at first Hardin just tries to give the man cash so he can go away, and he just ends up drinking with him, and they end up even brawling.
He's gonna hurt you.
Meanwhile, the dad just continues to eat their crackle flakes. Having him around just causes these two to fight, as well as when she tells him that she wants to go to Seattle and he doesn't think she's enough, so they fight. Hardin also denied a job offer that came from the publisher, so they fight. When she admits to catching feelings for Trevor in the last movie, they fight. I believe at one point she breathed, they fought.
Fatality.
Now, even though she was mad at him in the second for almost leaving to the UK, she's okay with her going to Seattle, and thus she convinces him to go stay up there at Vance's house, who's welcomed them in, because this dude practically loves Hardin more than his own son. Not to mention he's got another on the way, yet all the attention always goes to him. And fun fact, according to the cast, this set was actually built from scratch, and it's fully functioning, proving that these movies are making so much money. They're literally creating Airbnbs. The best part of the outing, though, has to be how jealous Hardin gets with Robert the waiter. At one point, the waiter's getting too googly eyed with Tessa, and Hardin straight lacquers the boy. Legit, you could hear him making his chiropractor appointment right then and there. Even later, it gets worse because the waiter ends up serving him. Tessa goes out drinking with Roberto later, publicly leaves Hardin at the bar, walks out with this other man wearing his own jacket, leaving Hardin to dream about Robert.
You remember Robert, right?
I remember Robert. I'll do an old-fashioned, actually.
Landon also returns for this movie as a completely new actor. Like, Ambrose really left a teenage witch to come deal with this teenage... In fact, they really have been recasting his entire family in every single installment, which I think is hilarious because they even do it for Vance and Kimberly. So you're literally watching this movie feeling like, it's still the same universe, but it feels like there's something alternate. Just one thing that's slightly off, but it's all held together by the one constant, which is...
Fuck you!
Fuck you too.
Now look, they really do switch up more than the Verizon guy. At one point they're arguing, the next they're so connected to each other that she's eating Plan Bs for breakfast, but this one ups it a bit by having the surrounding characters go even crazier so that they can seem rational. Because right at the end, Hardin wakes up for a little midnight snack only to catch his mama getting her biscuits gravied in the kitchen by Vance.
You're getting married tomorrow! Did you forget?
And yet somehow, the bigger twist is that Vance is actually... Hardin's father, which actually kind of makes sense. So now things are more complicated than a Baldwin movie, but obviously it doesn't excuse this mess. I guess just setting up a pregnant woman to be betrayed and then having her just sit there and hear the vows of a woman who just did the nasty with her husband is what it takes for Tessa to realize that Hardin, you know what? Hardin maybe doesn't have kids lying around. At least as of now. Overall, this installment just raises the stakes even more. The steamy bedroom scenes are more steamy, the phone scenes are more phony, and of course, they couldn't go 3 without having a jacuzzi scene. And it's just crazy to think that it took this long for them to get an intimacy coordinator, because while the first one was PG-13, they weren't editing one body on top of the other.
It's just like, it kind of makes you realize why didn't we have one? It's like having a stunt coordinator, or like, it's a different scene to what you usually do. It's more physical, and it makes a lot of sense to have someone to kind of block.
So not only did they already film After Ever Happy because they got those back to back, but there's also going to be a prequel and another sequel in development. So it definitely seems like there was a before, but there's not going to be an after. Because even reading the wiki, it just makes me laugh that it says, like its predecessors, the film was panned by critics. A sequel is scheduled for a 2022 release date. And you know what? These things are so goofy and perfectly cringy that I honestly can't wait to catch the next one in theaters. If you were alive for the Twilight midnight showings, those things were damn near events. It was like watching a Game 7, except everyone's a little too sober to be that invested, and I can't wait to see how crazy this one gets. Because if there's one thing the fans aren't expecting, is a masterpiece. They're just in it for the drama, the scandal. To them, it's just like crackle flakes. It don't need to be great, just good. Thank you all for watching this video. I'm curious to know your thoughts down below in the comment section. When it comes to movies that, consider it so bad, so good, consider it just something that, they don't make movies like this anymore. Even though they do, because it feels like every single one, like I mentioned earlier, from Netflix to everything else, they're able to actually release movies that go really crazy, considering that streaming doesn't need to have any of the rating issues that a lot of theatrical movies go to, which is, again, why I think these are much more impressive, because all of these have had a theatrical release. and they make money. So I'm very curious to see how crazy the next one's going to be. I'm pretty sure it's going to play in theaters. I will be bringing a rain jacket, even more Clorox, because I'm going to be disinfecting those seats before I go watch it. It's got to be the first showing as well. But if you've seen these movies, if you're invested in them, let me know what's up ahead. I will not be reading the Wattpad books, but I am excited to see the next installment. If you have another crazier franchise to put on my radar, definitely let me know down below. This is definitely one of those that I could definitely see revisiting, because I just found them hilarious. The way that Hardin just reacts to certain things.
I was showing him some pictures of you on my phone, and this arsehole leans over and he starts saying what he'd like to do to you. So I told him I've already done that.
Had me at the edge of my seat laughing. But I'm curious to know your thoughts down below in the comment section. Let me know about any other movies that you'd like to see us cover. Will Hardin move to Seattle? Will Tessa work for her, I guess now, father-in-law? Will they even have kids? We will see. Until next time, don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe, and I'll produce your fanfic.